Listen.
Oh, well, black people getting into what you call elected office and not keeping their promises, that's what you expect. See, that's a part of the code. You always expect that. Why? Because they can't a black person cannot promise anything who has been elected in a system of white supremacy unless the white supremacists say that I'm going to back up your promise. So it's always a guess. The black person may have the best of intentions, and most of them do. But in a system of white supremacy, the white supremacist said, I know you promised those black people this, that, and the other, all your relatives and cousins and whatnot, but I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to let you do it. So forget about that, boy. Forget about that, gal. You ain't getting it. And so you go out there and explain it any way you want to. But anything that you are going to give them, you got to get it from me. You have nothing on your own.
Mm-hmm.
You are subject to me. Hey, wake up. You're in the system of white supremacy. So no black person on this planet can promise anything to any other black person without the white supremacist saying, oh, yes, I'll see to it that you can make good on that promise, because anything that you have, you got to get it from me. And if you don't have it, you can't give it to them. Someone called in and they was talking about leadership, and I wasn't knocking leadership, and some suggestions were made about who should be supported as a leader. And under the compensatory logic that I have written about and that I follow, I'm duty bound to say that anybody who wants to become a leader should just step forward and become a leader. Now, a leader has to have followers, so it's just a matter of how efficient a leader is at gathering followers. I'm not opposed to that, because I think some people might have gotten the idea that I was opposed to black people having leaders. No, definitely not. If you can become a leader, but then who is the official leader of black people as of this moment? And I'm saying the official leader of black people throughout this planet as of this moment are the white supremacists. They are my leaders. They're the ones who have the muscle to tell me what to do. They can make me do things. You know, now there might be some black person somewhere who will say, oh, well, I can make you do things too. But it's been my observation that black people who say that they are leaders, when they even try to get other black people to do things, they have to answer to the white supremacists. Because the white supremacists say it's not going to be one leader on this planet, and that leader is going to be white. So don't think that because you give yourself a title as a black person of being a leader of black people, I'm the leader of black people. And so if you think you're going to compete with me, even if you think you can put the muscle on black people and get them to follow you, you still have to answer to me. Because when you put the muscle on them, and I don't approve of the way you're using that muscle, then you're in trouble with me. And you dare get in my face, because you know what will happen to you. And this has been my observation all along. That's why I say there's no such thing as black leaders. There are black spokespersons. I'm a black spokesperson. Why? Because I speak. Any black person that speaks, that's all you have to do is just speak. And you are a black spokesperson. But a leader has to have muscle to back up what they say and break anybody's arm that doesn't like it, or break their necks if it comes to it. In other words, a leader has to have the muscle from somewhere. Look by going to producejustice.com, and I'm not just talking about in that book about what the problem is, because I've already concluded what the problem is white supremacy. I make suggestions about what an individual can do about it, and that's one suggestion that I am making, because I have found it to be effective. I don't try to use anything that's not effective. When I start using the term white supremacy, and you can get the book by going to producejustice.com, I notice white people sit up and take notice. They don't like to have that term attached to them, even though they gave it to me. That just goes to show you something. You ought to study why that is. I can say that they are nobody. I can call them, all kinds of names. I hear black people calling white people names that I never call them, and will not call them. Names like cracker and all this type of stuff. I don't use that kind of language. But if I imply, and I don't even call them white supremacists, but if I say that they could be one, it seems like they back away from me when I say that. Now, why is that? Black people ought to ask why that is. It might be because I'm coming close to the truth. And that's one thing that the white supremacists never want a black person to come anywhere close to, is the truth. The system of white supremacy demands that only white people are supposed to know the truth about anything. And black people are supposed to pump themselves up on everything that is totally nonsensical false. And I notice there are a lot of white people who feel very comfortable with the word white privilege. Because what does privilege mean? Privilege means that you ask somebody, all right, that you made a contract with somebody. That's what privilege kind of implies. See, that's a softer word than supreme. See, a white supremacist in 2017, the refined white supremacist, does not want that label at all, but that's exactly who they are, because they are the ones that tell people what to do, and people that they tell what to do, when they tell black people what to do, and it's not just telling them what to do, it's telling them what to do that's going to be of harm to black people. And the black person doesn't know what to do about it. You have to keep your mind on what supreme means. It means you are faced with something that is overwhelmingly harmful to you, and you don't know what to do about it. Whatever that force is, if it's nothing but a bear or a moving wall or a tidal wave or a white person, a person with white skin, making you do something you don't want to do and you don't know what to do about it. That is supremacy by any definition, like it or not. But supremacy can be overcome if you face that fact. You have to face it first. You can't run and hide from something that's supreme over you. You have to turn around and grab it by the horns. But you have to know how to do it. But I know I can understand it. Fear will make me say, well, it ain't happening. Drug me up so that I don't feel it. And many of us do just that. Get drugged up so that we don't feel the effects of white supremacy, because that's why we're getting drugged up. We can't stand the pain, and we don't know what to do about it. Now, some people have said they've seen some cartoons of my work on the internet that have been presented, and that it pretty well embellishes what I have been trying to say in my textbooks. And to the extent that it does that, well, that has been, from what I understand, some people reported to me, a plus. Because they didn't understand what I had written very well, but when they saw those cartoons that just repeated what I was saying and attaching my name to it, and came right out of the book, the material did, they say that they better understood it. And I can understand that, because people are kind of visual, particularly in the year 2021 now, more visual than ever.